What's good, y'all? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing. So we're gonna go over some anti-meta goo. Yeah, this is pretty much just anti-meta. It's not really a helmet, so it's metalfoes. It's Majespecter Paleozoics, and I like it. The main reason why I decided to incorporate Majespecters into the Paleozoics is because just by running these mini destroyers, your Paleozoic matchup is just like a walk in the park. Because Paleos actually can't use their traps, like they literally can't, because they'll especially basically every trap except for Olanoids in the Paleo matchup, like they just can't use. So they're gonna rely on like the Maria, the Foolish Burial one, and the Misty. Like those are the only Paleos they can actually play and get engraved basically, because they can't target your monsters. And every Paleo that's removal specifically says target before anything else. So they're just awesome. And you know, like the True Draco boss dude can't actually pop them. He has to run over them by battle. So you can back that up with other things like Wabaku. So the deck's just able to steal wins from everybody. It just has an overall great matchup for everybody, especially in this meta. We're moving forward in the format where Zodiacs are still going to be able to dominate, although True Kings and True Dracos are pretty popular. Once the trend dies down and you know all the basically like people overhyping stuff and people realize what's actually good, Zodiac is going to turn out to be one of the best. And because their best monster is Trident, all of your monsters are basically immune to the Zodiac matchup. In order for the Zodiacs to actually push over your Majespecters, of course they're going to have to attack over them. They can lead into a Mirror Force, and for a Zodiac XYZ to actually attack over your Majespecters, they either need a Thoroughblade or they need to double up the Whiptails, which could waste so many resources just to attack over one little animal that's going to come right back from the extra deck. So I think it's awesome. So it's really clutch, like insane. Like just because I have extremely high ceiling for the Zodiac matchup alone was more than enough for me to put these in, because the Majespecter's back row is searchable and the Paleo back row is searchable, and Paleos and Majespecters, in my opinion, have the strongest traps, just period, that exist. So we run the nastiest back row ever. Let's go ahead and hop into the main deck without further ado. 3 Bambukus, the most versatile Stratos because he can actually search for himself, which is what I do most of the time because it's a big deck. So I'm trying to maintain my field presence by just searching him every turn so I can have a guy. Especially just to have a never-ending tribute for the Majespecter back rows, which require a win spellcaster. Then we're running 3 of the Kitty Cat. She's awesome. Most of the time, I just use her for a scale because I only resolve like basically once I resolve one on end phase and I have that one copy in extra deck, the other two become just searchable scales because I only need one in rotation. So I most of the time use her as a scale. And then we've got 3 of the Toad. I mean, why not? If you're playing a deck that can run 6 Toads and 3 of them are awesome, you have to. This guy is just as awesome. He basically does what this does, which is what he does for the Majespecters is what Toad does for the Paleos. The same thing. It immediately gets you to your engine, like right away. This guy's like, I'm getting straight to the frogs from my deck, and this guy says I'm getting straight to the mages from my deck. Me and my homeboy Charlie were like bouncing around some ideas for the name of this deck, like Mage Frogs, Paleo Specters. I don't know. You guys leave something in the comment section below on like what do you think we should call the deck.
Page Specters.
Page Specters. That's another one. See, I don't know, bro. What do you think? And then 3 of the Nine-Tailed Fox. Naruto went through a lot, and I think he's kind of sad because he ended up just getting a Tempest when originally Homeboy wasn't looking for nothing like that, bro. It's like I just was trying to like come through to kick it with Bambuku. Oh man, they just did him dirty. Bottom line is a lot of stuff happened. Ninja War, Naruto, yeah, QB, she's here, and they banned Kieran, so you know, oh my goodness. 3 of the Swap Frogs. Guy's amazing. This guy is the same thing as Bambuku. He's the engine for the frogs. I have to run the frogs, especially because they're all cute little animals. The only Mage Specters that I don't run, well, the only Mage Specter that I don't run is Yada, because I just don't really like his spell. It's not going to be this great in the format, but you can definitely play him. The main reason why I argued with myself for it is just to have more Mage Specter names in rotation to have, basically to increase the chances of drawing into one. But at bottom line, I'd rather draw a Paleo than a Frog or a Mage Specter. And that's what this deck is mainly focused on. It's not even about the Mage Specters or the Frogs. It's about the Paleos, which you'll see why I'm saying that. 2 dupes and 2 Ronins. I could not put 3 dupes. It just came down to 1 card that I put over the extra dupe, even though dupe is clutch. You only really need 2 dupes, trust me. The game should not be that way, but if you feel like you need to run 3 dupes, you can do it definitely. And the only 2 spells that I'm running in this list are Majespecter, Majesty's Pegasus. You can play Grass, you can play Demise, you can play everything. You can play everything that you saw off of that, you know, profile or whatever from some dude who topped with Paleos. You can look at all the profiles from all the Paleos who topped. You can copy them, you can net deck them, and do exactly what they do. Do that. But I'm just running the 2 field spells. I just like it. I don't really want to draw spells in this deck at all. This is like like I said, it's straight up classic, flat out Paleozoics. It's just really good. And the Paleos are the best part of the deck. So I just didn't want Demise because I don't want to take turns off. I don't care that we're going into the format where Demise might be great. I don't care about that. I'm not playing Demise. I'm not playing Desires because every card is too important. And if you banish a certain amount of Majespecters, it's like you can't come back from that. So yeah, moving forward with the traps, we have the Majespecter back row, 3 Tempests. I decided not to play Strikes in this list also. I have Strikes. You guys know I do. I have tons. But I chose not to play Strike because it's a counter trap, which this deck, like having too many counter traps, you go into the problem. I had test hands where I'll draw a Tempest and a Strike, or one too many Strikes or one too many Tempests, and then you'll have 2 other traps and like a monster. That the problem is because the other 2 traps you have are counter traps and not normal traps, you won't be able to summon any Paleos from grave. Even if, let's say, like you have two counter traps like this and a Strike, and let's say you have Paleozoic Maria and like a Wabaku, you can only get 1 Paleo from grave because you open up with too many counter traps. So I chose to minimize on it. You guys can do the opposite and maximize because this deck is actually able to run 6 copies of Solemn Strike card for text. This literally is the same thing as Strike, which is why I was like, you know what? I'm not even missing out on Strike. Even though I don't play Strike, I have a searchable Strike, which actually turned out to be better. But if you want to play triple Strike, you do 3 and 3. But I don't recommend it because this is Paleos, and there's a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. 2 Tornadoes to sum up the Majespecter back row, so we'll put those there. Most important part of the deck is 3 Pikaia. Well, not Pikaia, but the most important part of the deck is the Paleos. I'm maximizing Pikaia. This is actually turbo. It is just insane. Opalbinia is by far the best card in this deck. I don't care what anybody says. I know they think Toad is the man. This is the most important card. This is how, moving on into Link format, we're going to be able to play our scales and leave 3, basically play our scales in our back rows and have 3 slots for traps. Keep all your Paleos in hand and set your things like Threatening Roars and Wabakus, and play your Paleos from hand. Catch your opponent off guard, activate like a Canadian in battle phase, like chain it from hand. Oh, it's just so great. This guy's insane. And he basically lets you spam rank 2s. Like, I've had games where just like play testing against my homeboy Charlie, like where I would like play a bunch of Paleos and then flip a Threatening Roar and have like 4 Paleo traps and then turn one of them into him and then use him and then turn it into a field that was just like insane. Oh, this guy's just so clutch. He's the star of the deck. And because he lets you play Pikaia from your hand, Pikaia is the best one because when you play it, you have extremely high chances of drawing another Paleo. So this basically lets you turbo. Like, you play this special, play chain special, and that's how it ends up being like, oh my goodness. I'll show you guys some duels with this video if you want, just so you can see, so you don't think that I'm like lying or over-exaggerating. It's insane. Pikaia is the best. And another thing is I'm running a lot of Paleos that people don't run, that most Paleozoic players, quote, quote, don't run. I just feel like they're all good. They really are. And most people think that they're not competitive, which is why they don't run them. Well, I kind of want to contradict that and prove my theory that every Paleo is good. So I'm going to prove it by taking this deck. So that's how I'm going to prove it. And 3 Maria, it's the Foolish. I like this a lot because it's just a free monster. I look at this because there's no requirement. You just play it. This is by far probably the best one because it requires absolutely nothing. You always have traps in your deck. So out of this one, like out of all of them, like every other Paleo requires something else, like in the form of a monster, a card on the field, something. This is nothing. It is by far like the best Paleo because it just changes itself. But Pikaia speeds the deck up. So these are your engine. Maria and Pikaia do the same thing, which is speed up the deck and spam those Paleos. And then 2 Leonkaya. This was the one I wanted to minimize on because opening it earlier on in the game or first turn, sometimes there will be games where I went through half of my deck and never saw any frogs. Because like I opened up with too much Majespecters and not enough Paleos. So there will be games like that. So I decided to cut this to 2 to decrease the chances of breaking on it. And then moving forward to outs, we've got 3 of the Misty, which is going to be awesome moving forward. I just think it's just great that this deck has searchable outs to everything. And 3 Dinomisius, which is better than Misty in the True Draco matchup because you want to banish the back row so it doesn't go off in grave to pop something. So this is going to be insane. Even going first, like moving forward, because they have like those the continuous spells that they tribute. Like say you open up, you go first, and the True Draco player second. When he plays his little the continuous spell that lets you immediately, when its effect resolves, tribute, that's a quick effect. But it's still spell speed 2, so you can chain Dinomisius. banish the spell, and they'll never get to tribute it for their tribute summon. And it's banished so it doesn't go off in grade. So I think, oh, this is just so clutch. Dino, I wish we could run more of it. And 3 of the book. This is my least favorite one because this is the only paleo that actually requires an opponent's card. Olenoids pops any spell or trap on the field. This targets one face-up card on the field. This guy actually says one monster your opponent controls. This is my least favorite one because this one I have to rely on my opponent to play it, which I don't like. That's another reason why I played more generic paleos that are versatile with just to be able to play, because the paleos are so situational that like when you're in those matchups where your opponent has a monster that can't be targeted, for example, Majespecters, you can't chain anything. So that's why I like just other generic paleos that I can play on my own monsters. So that's why I maximize on 3 Hallucigenia. This lets your toad beat over anything that's 4400 or less, and it's awesome to catch somebody off guard playing this in damage step. It just lets you beat over so much. I think this is clutch. This is like one of the MVPs. It's so unexpected, and because no paleo player in their right mind, quote quote to speak, doesn't run this, they think it's horrible. Who in their right mind like is gonna expect a paleo player to use this? So nobody expects this in damage step, and because it's specifically in its card tech modulates attack and defense, it's chainable in damage step. And when you have Opabinia on field, when you activate this from hand, who is gonna expect it coming? And then you get to chain a trap. But the most beneficial accoutrement that Hallucigenia has is that you can have a paleo on field and you can play Hallucigenia and target the paleo half its attack but chain a trap. So the main benefit is you can play it on your own monsters. The only monsters you want to play it is on paleos because you're going to use them for XYZ material, so attack doesn't matter. So Hallucigenia and other paleos let you piggyback off of one paleo and keep summoning your other ones. For example, moving forward with the last paleo we're running at 3 is Eldina. I like this guy just as much as I like Hallucigenia. For example, when you have a paleo on field, it's 1200, but it's unaffected by monster effects. So it's really strong. It's 1200 for a reason. Konami didn't want them to make beaters that are unaffected because that'd be too good. So when you chain this in damage step and put your paleo at 17, think of having a 1700 body that's unaffected by monsters. I think this is amazing. And the fact that you can play this on any monster is even more clutch. Boosting up toads, boosting up your Anomalicaris, helping you to deal with problems that you couldn't before. And one of the best combos is actually to boost up your Trapeze Magician or your Acid Golem, so you can get that extra damage that you need. Because this potentially gives you an extra 1000 versus 500. Because even though it gives it 500, it can attack twice. It's insane. And Hallucigenia and the Eldina are insane in combination with Cat Shark. Oh, it's so clutch when you can have a monster, give it a boost, and then double. Oh, it's just so good. Anyways, I didn't want to put too much strenuous attention on the paleos, but I just think they're insane. These are like some of the best ones. These are my outs. So this is another thing where these sometimes are even better than Mirror Forces because they're just so much more versatile and they're unexpected. And people don't play around this. People know how to play around Mirror Forces. So yeah, I think they're awesome. I highly recommend, if you guys have not tried it, try a build that's more focused on the paleos. If you think it'll brick, when you see a handful of paleos, you have no idea that sets you up for either OTK or a spam full of monsters that will give you too much advantage, and you won't know what to do with yourself. 3 Reckless, 3 Wabaku. I like these traps because they're just free. 2 Threatening. I need a third. I actually only own 2. This should be 3. And also 3 Stormies. I'm going to cut, 3 Mirror Forces. I'm going to cut the Quaking for a Threatening Roar. Now, the reason why I'm not running so many Mirror Forces this time is because your Hallucigenia and your the Eldina are actually better than Mirror Forces. Just because they're so much more versatile. They're still better in the battle phase, especially because you can activate it in damage step. Mirror Force can be activated in damage step. And because you activate your paleos in damage step, your opponent has a much smaller chance to be able to basically either chain or even out it. Like, it'll be harder to stop because there's a small amount of things that you can actually do in damage step. So it's just insane. And Mirror Force can be used in damage step. So that's what it came down to. And with the format that we're in, you kind of have to have the most protection. So that was another thing with the Majespecters and the Paleos. All the Paleozoic monsters are unaffected by monster effects. All the Paleozoics, the traps are unaffected. And all your Majespecters can be targeted or destroyed. And when you back that up with stuff like Wabaku and Threatening Roar, think of it this way. You basically have monsters that can be targeted or destroyed by card effects and can be destroyed by battle. And then you have monsters that are unaffected by monster effects and can be destroyed by battle. A monster that's unaffected and can be destroyed by battle sometimes is even stronger than the masterpiece dude, because you can still out him with the Utopia of the Lightning. When you flip a Wabaku, you can't out it with the Utopia of the Lightning. So I think it's awesome. And totally awesome, of course. This guy, it gives this deck even more protection, because when you put a Dupe Frog on the field, like, oh my goodness. Oh man. And I'm gonna opt to playing Secret Village of the Spellcasters in this deck, which I actually have it right here, but I'm not main decking. It's going to be more clutch because your spellcasters they have little attack. They can't be targeted or destroyed, but they're small. So if you Secret Village, you're supposed to win because it's like Naturia Beast, but on steroids. And their way to out is just to attack over it. But when you Toad and put the dupe lock, it keeps your Secret Village locked down, and it also just keeps everything froze up, and you can still chain your traps and just drain all their resources. That was another trump card that this deck has over every other deck, is it has a more consistent Naturia Beast or Anti-Spell or Imperial Order, just because this is searchable through Terraforming, and it's easier to maintain. Imperial Order 700, Anti-Spell, it slows you down and it hurts you more. You can still play spells with this, and also Naturia Beast requires, she has a cost, and you can still chain Strike to her, and you can still chain Breakthrough. So I think this is better than all of those cards. Everything that stops spells is not better than Secret Village. There's a reason why this used to be so expensive, and because we run Spellcasters, I can main that. So trust and believe, when True Dracos are legal, I'm gonna be either maining or siding 3 Secret Village and like a bunch of Terraforming, so I can open up and sack, because we all know Naturia Beast wins games. And if you can have a Naturia Beast with no cost, in addition to your Paleozoic back row, your Majespecter back row, you're totally awesome. Everything, what the deck already does, just to have that extra icing on the cake, gives you increased ceiling for every matchup except the mirror, because it's all traps. And one of him, I wanted to run more. This guy turns Reckless Greed into a +3. It turns your Pikaia into discard Paleo, drop 2, then draw another one. This guy's insane. Keeping Opabenia on field and him, as long as you can keep him, these two in rotation, every time you play a trap, every time you play a trap, you'll get to draw a card. If it's a Paleo, you get to play it from your hand immediately. So these two just let you keep, oh man. Like for example, if you played something like Hallucigenia to half, chain your trap, of course, special from grave, and then his effect goes off, and then you draw a trap off of him and it's grenaded, then you can play that immediately in your hand from Opabenia, chain another trap, and it just lets you, like, it's stun. And while you're establishing your field presence, you're stunning your opponent and draining his resources while summoning monsters. So I think Paleos have one of the most effective ways to get their field presence. Think of a monster that says, like, you have to put a monster face down to summon this. And then 1 Cat Shark, 1 Phoenix, Golem, Trapeze, and Phoenix all OTK, and it's too easy to win once you make these guys. First turn setup, second turn make these guys. Totem Bird, Leviair, overextend your combos, just really clutch. And I really do need to work on the extra deck. Like there's some stuff I need to cut, so I actually need to cut down. But I'm doing Dweller and Chidori. And yeah, like I said, there's just some stuff I need to cut, but I just don't know what to let go of, because there's certain rank 4s like that are staple that I need to be running, especially Lightning and Castell, that I'm just not running. But Leviair is so great because your Toads banish themselves, so you can play this guy and special summon a banished Dupe Frog and just dupe it up again, and then when Dupe leaves, you'll go into your Toads, your Frogs again. So Majespecters complement this deck so well. Tell me what you guys think of the deck. And we just want to say thank you so much, especially because the subscriber count is just growing so rapidly. Like, wow. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. And we're going to do something really cool. We're going to showcase you guys a Gusto deck that